That's what we had on the Silver Coast. Then in a plant pot, a really, I don't know, loads of these hailstones. And have you got your vocabulary? Do you know what a hailstone is? Let's make that a bit of a quiz this morning. Do you know what a hail? It's a very interesting word, actually. Do you know what a hailstone? And do you even know what a thunderstorm is in Portuguese? It's somewhat unusual words, I think. Hailstone and thunderstorm. If you'd like to share your guess with me on what that might be in Portuguese, yeah, they're on the top of an old flower pot. I think there might be some compost underneath there, but yeah, you see the euro coin and all of those petit pois. Some of them actually like those big old peas that you didn't used to like as a kid, that were quite strong, but huge hailstones and a lot of flooding. And when I was out walking the dogs late, or one of the dogs, the little dog couldn't go out because of the rain, I think. She was afraid to go out. Big Jim didn't mind a bit of a stroll last night. And we found a baby rabbit on the road, alive. I thought, what's that? And I thought it was a rat at first because it was only a little one. But it was in a straight line, like in a freeze posture. Trying to hide. But I was thinking, what is that weird thing on the road? And it got up and ran away. And Jimmy was obviously very excited. He's a hunting dog. And I was thinking, wow, yeah, this flooding must have inundated rabbit and other creatures who live underground. May have displaced a few animals. So quite weird to see a baby rabbit wandering about the neighborhood last night. And quite a lot of flash flooding as a result of the hailstones and the hailstorms here in Portugal, not just on the Silver Coast. I think they were felt elsewhere in the country as well. Right, let's get on with the news on the Bondia Daily. Should we look at unemployment falling or public debt rising first? Let's get to public debt rising and see what that means here in Portugal. From the Portugal Resident this morning. Oh, hold on a minute. Here it is. There you go. And quite a random picture with Banco on it. That's good enough. That's good enough to talk about public debt. It's the fourth year-on-year rise. According to data from the Bank of Portugal, the BDP, you're down with BDP. Yeah, you know me. Public debt from the Maastricht perspective, which sounds very headmasterly, doesn't it? The Maastricht looking over this way. What are those? What are those people in Portugal up to? Which counts for Brussels increased by around 3.6 billion to 274.3 billion. These are astronomical figures, aren't they? They're so big, it's hard to get a sense of how much money is being spoken about here. That was in January compared to December. The development mainly reflected the increase in debt securities, 3.1 billion. Now, at this stage, do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just reading these weird fiscal phrases from a page. It just sounds, and I'm sure it's designed to bamboozle as well. But anyway, mostly long-term, and saving certificates part of that, 0.4 billion, the country's central bank explained. Now, buildings do not talk, do they? The central bank, organizations do not talk. Somebody said that, and that's another thing I'm suspicious about with such reporting. It's like when Downing Street talks or the White House talks. Come on, buildings don't talk, people talk. Own it, be responsible for it, whoever you are. So the country's central bank explained this was the second consecutive increase in public debt after it had also risen to 270.6 billion in December. What can anyone with a money mind explain, give that some sense of context or perspective? I know it's not as big as American debt, because that goes into the trillions, doesn't it? In year-on-year terms. And do you remember those conversations we used to have with Kate, the economist? You'd have Kate and Paul Correa up against each other. You know, the economy is like a house. You can't spend more than you've got. No, it's not. In global economics, we can just keep printing money. It's not a problem. Just print some more. Now, that's all very well in the latter case, isn't it? But why, if you can just print it and make it up, why can't more people benefit from that? Anyway, in year-on-year terms, the debt increased by 1.8% compared to January 24 in what was the fourth rise in a row. Natasha Don reporting there for the Portugal Resident, not adding any opinion on that. If you've got an opinion about public debt, and you know something about it, I'd be pleased to hear that. I don't know which banco that is, by the way, that's on the screen there. Should we talk about unemployment now, which has dropped here in Portugal? And I think this may well be part of the Iberian miracle. Talking of Iberian miracles, Michael Heron will be on. I think we're going to try our first co-broadcast of Good Morning Portugal and Good Morning España. Have you seen Good Morning Spain? They do a fantastic TV style show on Good Morning Spain. I watched it yesterday. Very impressed. If anyone's watching, I did send you a message over at Good Morning Spain. Lovely to see you and make your acquaintance on YouTube yesterday. Very professional job you've done there with your Good Morning Spain. That's not Michael Heron, however. He's Good Morning España, and we'll be chatting on Friday at 9 o'clock. Right. So public debt is up. Unemployment, however, here in Portugal is down, something the PM might be clinging to. Look what I did, whilst he hangs on to his job. And correction, his address to the nation, I believe, was Saturday night, not Sunday. And there are news items about the PM not having his calls picked up by the president. It sounds like the relationship between the president and the PM is a little bit frosty. He might be hanging him out to dry at the moment. And he is hanging on in there by the skin of his teeth, the Portuguese PM. With corruption allegations, or yes, I think I can safely say corruption allegations. I'm not accusing him of anything. Others, I think, are, however, and you can find out all about that, but with a little bit of a stir on the internet if you search for Luis Montenegro and the situation he finds himself in at the moment. Unemployment then falling 6.2%. I put these two items together because it just seems like a professional financial coverage and economic coverage, doesn't it? With debt up but unemployment falling. The unemployment rate registered a slight decrease of 0.2 percentage points compared to January and December of the last year. According to Jornal Económico, the unemployment rate in Portugal stood at 6.2% in January, which represented a slight decrease, very slight, of 0.2 percentage points compared to January and December of 24, according to data revealed by the National Institute of Statistics, the INE, this Monday, yesterday. The active population increased to 5,509.4 thousand. Is that the amount of people working in the country? It can't, that can't be right. Hold on a minute. That's 5 point. Okay, so that must be 5.5 million, mustn't it? Yes, 5.5 million compared to January. Sorry, yeah, there can't be 5,000 people working in Portugal. Although, to be fair, yesterday and today there aren't not many people. Obviously, the emergency services are available, but I think many public workers took advantage of the carnival situation for an informal holiday. So that must be of the working. I think I need someone numerically minded like John to help me out on this. But the active population increased to 5.5. 5 point. It's not 5 point even. It's Portuguese comma. Help me, help me out, somebody. Compared to January, help me make sense of these figures. To January, which was 102.9 thousand. That's an increase, presumably, of 1.9%. And you can see on the screen there the figures. The employed population rose to 5,167.3 thousand. That's got to be millions, isn't it? But that sounds too many of the working population. I don't know, as a working population here in this country of what, 10.5 million people, compared to the previous month. And the figures are there for you to see. In turn, the unemployed population registered a decrease. Maybe John will walk me through this as my dyscalculia kicks in. Clearly, in turn, the unemployed population registered a decrease, and the read those for yourself. I want to know what the summary is. It's a bit like the earlier story, isn't it, about public debt? What does this actually mean in percentage of the working population, and what is the impact compared? And give us a context of previous times, or what a world index might be in a context. Again, I think there's a bit of is it obfuscation? Or a bit of baffling going here. BS baffles brains, as my old man used to say. And when it's put like this, it's kind of meaningless, apart from the headline, which is it's fallen to 6.2%. And then when the first scratch of the surface, it's only dropped 0.2 percentage points. So all we can cling to from that, I think, is the unemployment has fallen to 6.2%. It's down. However, I was told a long time ago, in any healthy economy, there's always going to be unemployed people, even if it is a healthy economy. And there is a particular percentage, which is a sweet spot. Are we there yet? Is 6.2% anything like that? So there you go. There's my appeal to any economists who might be watching, who can help me make, having made a terrible mess of that. can help me make sense of that as well. Right, we might have a look at the weather. We'll we'll certainly have a look at your yes, Joao Ernesto. Granizo is the queda. The granizo is the name for hail, and your thunderstorms are trovoadas when you hear the distant rumble, and you hope that it's thunder and not the after effects of a feijoada lunch. Beautifully sunny with a sprinkle of frost in Wales. And we got trapped in a cafe passing Carnival Parade. By a passing Carnival Parade, sent you a video. Thanks, Pam. Do love these. I'm much more comfortable receiving videos and playing them than I am giving you economic news. Not just about Portugal at all. Good morning to you, Gary. Oh, Gary Coulton, the author of the wonderful book, Where to Buy. Oh, that's his book about where to buy his book. From Demons to Champions, and that is falling in love with my neurodivergent self. He's going to be our mastermind special guest in a little while. His book, Demons to Champions, that's him coming to sense with his extraordinary mind and how he was very different to other people. And I think some of us in this community can relate to that. ADHD, neurodivergence, autism, Asperger's. It's all being talked about much more, and he's going to be an amazing guest, and I'm claiming him as part of our community now. He's just sent me a message, and he's very excited to be coming over to Portugal and doing a podcast with me about that subject. So that's fantastic. And Pam, thank you very much. Yes, I think I've saved that. Tony looking quite fascinated by what's going on there. So it was here in Pontelima. Oh, I'll come back to that, John, and you can voice that yourself. Gemini is in this morning. How are you doing, Gemini? Good morning, everyone. Joao, is that the king whose grave is in the Cathedral of Santa Clara in Coimbra? I think that's connected with Pontelima, isn't it? I thought it was first kings and queens of Portugal that were buried there. No, I haven't watched Good Morning España because when I went to take a look, there was nothing. I'm interested in Spain. I think he's got at least 2 videos now. If you give him another chance, Mr. S, give him another chance, and you can quiz him yourself on Friday. That's Michael Heron. Bon dia from Sarah Yerman. Do you know what? She can play a psaltery. Have you still got it, Sarah? I mean, I don't mean have you still got it in the sense of are you still able? I mean, have you still got the instruments that you mentioned yesterday, the lute as well, and the lyre? Often when I come back from America, the schedule for the show has changed. Now that we're selling the house in America, does that mean the current schedule is now final for all time? I can't say it's final for all time. I think 8 till 9 is working for most people. Some people are still complaining it's too early. But I think it's quite good. You can get out and enjoy the rest of your day at 9 o'clock. So for the time being, and we will stay on this time, I think for the foreseeable future, maybe as it goes into the darkness of winter later this year, we might change the time. But I'm quite happy with this personally. Let me know what you think. You can always tell the bias of the national media by the level of outrage mustered for corruption allegations. Coverage seems to range from disinterest or mania, depending on which party is in office. Absolutely. And I think Portuguese people, generally speaking, as well, John, are like, whatever, this always happens. Like the last time when Costa had left ahead of being found guilty of anything, he left the scene. He's gone to a great job in the EU. When I got quite excited about that, Portuguese friends were like, yeah, it's always happening. No worries. If memory serves me, there was an English king who came a lot. Camelot, is that a joke, Mr. S? Arthur. God, dear, oh dear. That's Python-esque. Borada, Mr. S. And bon dia todos from Steve Merwin. We'll catch up with Joao de Nort. Oh, no, it's suddenly it's 20 past 8. I can't believe it. I was going to have a quick look at the weather. Do that for yourself. Open the curtains, raise the blinds, have a look. Tell me what the weather's like in your part of the world. We'll play a very quick Carnival video from Alcobaça, and then we'll see John on the other side of this. Let me load that up then. So Alcobaça, trapping people in cafes with the passing procession. And here's Pam and Tony exactly in that situation in Alcobaça yesterday, I'm presuming. That's brilliant. Might as well just order another coffee. I'll tell you what, I'll have some toast as well. Looks like we're going to be here for ages. Excellent, Pam. Thank you very much indeed. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. from 900-year-old Ponte Lima, as you can see in the picture behind him, João Danord. How are you doing, John?
Olá, bom dia, tudo bem?
Muito bem, obrigado.